Assalamualaikum to Dr. Idris bin Osman. Today, our group which are among RASIDA binti APANDI, Muhammad FAIZ bin IBRAHIM, ATIKAH binti MUSTAPHA, FAHIRA binti SHAHDZUL KAHAR, NURLIYANA binti Abu Bakar will be present about our research methodology, psychological contract. First of all, I will explain about the background of this study. What is the meaning of social relationship? Social relationship is interactions that occur between individuals who have repetitive experience that are perceived by participants as having personal interest. The actual definition includes relationship with family members, acquaintances, neighbors, co-workers, and other friends. Second, what is the meaning of social exchange theory? Social exchange theory refers to the formation of exchange rules which foster trust over time. Third, what is the meaning of psychological contract? Psychological contract is the subjective sense of relationship expectations, provide a great theoretical framework for the understanding of student needs and university education expectations. Next, I will explain about our problem statement of doing our research, which is we doing this research because there are some problem statement which is the impact of psychological contract towards the social relationship among students is unclear. As we know that psychological contracts not only encourage students to have a more useful and intricate view but also suggest future research guidelines and strategies to improve student-university relations. Our previous study were to demonstrate the importance of the psychological contract as a theoretical lens in student research in higher education. Next, our group already identified our research objective and also our research question, which is our research objective is to investigate the effect of psychological contract, which is relational and transactional on social relationship among students. And our research question is how psychological contract, which is relational and transactional, affect the social relationship among students. Next, I also will be explain about our literature review in our research, which is first, we also have identified our social relationship definition, which is social relationships refers to the relationships between people who have repeated experience of personal importance by the participants. Social relationships in fact bring a unique reward, such as emotional, material, and physical health are the rewards that they bring. Second, we also identify about our social relationships among students. For students, social relationship aspects not only enhance their social development, but also academic growth. And number third is psychological contract among students. The psychological contract was established and developed on the basis of cooperation between the parties. A successful communication can help the parties understand each other as well as goals, roles, and promises. They can better handle individuals and strive to improve student skills and knowledge that will enhance efficiency, success, and gain competitive advantages. Next, we also have collect the previous study, which is the relationship between psychological contract towards social relationship among students, which is our first article that we found is article about self-directed work teams development of a validated skill and its effects on a team commitment. In this article, the objective is the author address the extent to which team members fulfill their own team commitments and compliance in the conceptualization of the contract by adjusting their roles and conformance. In this article, we identify that there is a significance between the psychological contract with a social relationship. In our article number 2, we also identify that the article is the psychological contract of science students, which is social exchange with universities and university staff from the student perspective. In this article, the objective of this research is to demonstrate the value in higher education student research of the use of the psychological contract as a theoretical lens. In this study, there is a significance between the psychological contract with social relationship. For the third article is about the flipping class article, which is why student expectations and person situation fit matter. In this article, the purpose of this study is to decide whether flipping class may motivate students or less motivated students, or psychological contracts that are violated can experience pitfall. In this study, there is a significance between the psychological contract with social relationship. Okay, so we can conclude that the hypothesis from our research is Hypothesis 1. There is a positive relationship between psychological contract and social relationship among students.
Now, let's move to the research framework. According to our review of 3 journal papers, they are shown that there is positive relationship between the psychological contract and social relationship among students. Methodology. Number 1, survey. The study objective is to study causal relationship and examine the positive relationship between the IB and DV. For our study, we use minimal entity that is we need to collect and evaluate the relevant data by doing the survey. Number 2, data analysis. We are using non-contrived setting, which means our research can be carried out in the natural environment. To collect the data, we distribute the survey to 30 students from the Faculty of Business and Management in UiTM Melaka. For the time horizon, the result of the intensity of the sample subject will measured simultaneously in a cross-sectional analysis. Number 3, instrument. Our questionnaire is about investigating the relationship between DB and IB. This questionnaire is divided into 2 parts, which are Part A and Part B. Part A, we are collecting the data on the demographic background, which consists of gender, age, program, faculty, and part. While in Part B contain 3 parts, which the question are represent a transactional contract, relational contract, and social relationship. Number 4 is sample. Our population is among UiTM students at City campus of Melaka. For this research, 50 students were selected to answer our questionnaire. Number 5, sampling technique. We are using non-probability sampling. We use convenience, or also referred to as accidental sampling, because we take our sample from the people who are near to us. Number 6 is procedures. We need to pay attention to efficiency, validity, and reliability to get the best outcome from our questionnaire. Our primary data come from the questionnaires administered to student and secondary data by taking data from external sources like academic database. Reliability implies a measurement instrument capacity to provide exact and accurate reading by using the combat alpha.
Its results and finding. In this study, the respondents are 50 students from UiTM Melaka City campus, and more than half of the surveys are female respondents, which allocated to 62%, and compared to male respondents, which only 38%. It can be said that female students are the major contributor for this study. Out of 50 respondents, the most students are from the age of between 21 to 23 years old, which accumulated to 92%, which shows the highest percentage compared to the least percentage are from the respondents of above 30 years old, whereas only 2%. Hence, the respondents from age between 21 to 23 years old are the major contributor for this study. Respondents from HR management program dominates the survey with 24%, while the least is from the finance program students that are only 10%. It clearly shows that respondents from HR program are the highest contributor in this study. Most of the respondents who answered our survey questionnaire are from the Faculty of Business and Management, which allocated to 82%, followed by respondents from Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management with only 18%. Part 5 students are the most number of respondents that answered the survey questions, that is 70%. The lowest response comes from Part 4, which is only 4%. Descriptive analysis used to illustrate the significance of the mean, standard deviation, minimum and maximum of the data used in the research. Independent variables of psychological contract are within the range of 3.92% to 7%, and the mean is at 5.8%. For the dependent variable, which is social relationship, the minimum was 4% and the maximum was 7%, which allocate the mean to 5.84%. Social relationship variable was stated highest, mean with 5.84% compared to psychological contract. The standard deviation for variables of psychological contract is 0.68. The standard deviation for the variables of social relationship is 0.67. And the lowest standard deviation in this study is psychological contract with 11.65%, where this percentage is perceived as a low deviation variable of the study, while social relationship is the highest variable with 11.95%. Next is reliability analysis. Reliability is a measurement instrument's capacity to provide exact and accurate results. In other terms, the degree to which the steps are error-free and therefore achieve reliable outcomes. The result from the reliability test done for the study is the Cronbach alpha for all variables are above 0.6, that indicates that all the variables are significant. Psychological contract, which is independent variable of this study, has a Cronbach alpha of 0.882. This shows that the strength for this variable is good. while the dependent variable, which is social relationship, has a Cronbach alpha of 0.851. It can be seen that social relationship has good strength. From reliability statistic, we can conclude that the value of Cronbach alpha of psychological contract is highest than social relationship.
Next is correlation analysis. Correlation analysis is a statistical technique used to assess the strength of the relationship between two quantitative variables. A high correlation means that there is a strong relation between two or more variables, while a weak correlation means that the variables are hardly related. Based on the table, it shows the present correlation for variable. From the table, we can see that the correlation between social relationship and psychological contract is 0.466 and the p-value is 0.01. It shows that there is a moderate uphill linear relationship between social relationship and psychological contract. Therefore, there is positive relationship between independent variable, which is psychological contract, with dependent variable of social relationship among students. Next, I will present about the regression analysis. Regression analysis is an extension bivariate correlation. Regression analysis also used to measure the percentage of dependent variable that can be explained by the independent variables. The table shows all the independent variables together explain 21.7% of the variance, and the R-square is 0.466 in psychological contract, which is highly significant, and the model is fit as the F value is greater than 1, which is the F statistic is 13.316, and the P value is less than the 0.05, which is the P value is 0.001. Hence, the regression model is significant. It means there is relationship between the dependent variable and predictor variable.
In the conclusion, this research paper was carried out to examine the social relationship among the students. However, the research paper investigated the social relationship among the students with the variable which is psychological contract, such as transactional contract and relational contract. For the result and finding, we are successfully collecting the data from our respondent and interpret the data in form of frequency analysis, descriptive analysis, reliability analysis, correlation analysis, and regression analysis. This research hypothesized that there is a relationship between the psychological contract and social relationship among the student due to its p-value is less than 0.05. The aim of this research is to study the effect of psychological contract on the student's social relationship. The hypothesis developed earlier is to test the positive relationship between the psychological contract and the social relationship among the student. The study question is to determine is there any relationship between the psychological contract and the social relationship among the student. Regression analysis was conducted to assess if there any relationship between the psychological contract and social relationship among the student. The result of the finding for the psychological contract indicate that it is significant as the p-value is 0.001. This shows that there is a connection among the student between the psychological contract and social relationship. This study hypothesized that because of its p-value, there is a connection between the psychological contract and social relationship between the student is less than 0.05. Now, we move to the limitations of the study. We have found few limitations on the way we carry out this study. The first is the absence of data, particularly on our independent variable, which is psychological contract. The absence of data or accurate data would probably mean that we restrict the size of our analysis or a major obstacle to finding a pattern and meaningful relationship. In terms of measure, we used to collect the data since finishing our evaluation of the data. We discovered that the ability to perform a detailed review of the result was inhibited by the way we obtain the information. For example, in this research, we used questionnaire to collect the data from the student of UiTM City Campus Melaka. The questionnaire is distributed via the social media. However, in that questionnaire, we only put the simple question in order to make the respondent to be more understanding what is the question is all about. We cannot put too much question because it will make the respondent feel bored and being incomplicated. Next, limitation is the sample size. In this study, we only managed to get the total of 50 respondents as we are investigating the psychological contract among the students. This situation gives us some difficulties in finding significant relationship from the data collected, as statistical tests normally require the larger sample size to ensure a representative distribution of the population and to be considered representative of group of people to whom result will be generalized or transferred. However, we managed to find a significant relationship even though by giving small sample of the respondent. One of the ways to improve the psychological contract among the student in university is by giving the feedback and recognition. Next is by improve the communication among the student, which is it also can help in improving the student's psychological contract. Building trust among them is a crucial part to ensure that they have each other back when the things do not go as planned. Is also one of the efforts to improve the social relationship among the student. Lastly, vital to the health of psychological contract, deliberately combines the activity at hand individual contributor. That's all from us. Thank you.